Hey guys, today we're going to talk about how to price a yard, the no nonsense, no BS way. So stay tuned. And thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm going to try to make this as quick and painless as possible, but it's a very important subject because it's all about how much money you're going to make. Now, what we're talking about is pricing. And I'm not going to say that there's no right or no wrong answer, because there's definitely a wrong answer and there's thousands of right answers. Basically, what it all comes down to is no two businesses are the same. Just like no two people are the same, no two yards are the same, no two businesses are the same, no two declining budgets are the same, no line items of expenses are the same. So what you have to do is tailor your pricing to your expenses and to the amount of money that you need to get by. Since this is the part-time lawn care channel, we're going to assume for this video that we're talking to the solo operator who is part-time. I'll do another one where we talk about how much you need to bring on an employee, but that's going to come later. So the main thing you're going to want to do to come up with the perfect price is get out a notebook and something to write with, and you're going to have to write down all of your expenses. Everything from your truck payment, if you have one, your mower or trailer payment, if you have them, your expenses like gas, your insurances, uniforms, an invoice or credit card processing company, how much do they charge you? It's going to be 3%, typically 2 to 3% on your gross revenue. So if you're charging somebody $40 to mow their yard, it's going to cost you $120 just to process that credit card. First, you're going to have to arrive at your hourly rate, and you're going to be able to get how much to charge for a yard from that hourly rate by measuring how much time it takes for you to mow that yard. Now, I'm not talking about the first time when it's all overgrown like Welcome to the Jungle and Axl Rose jumps out and starts singing. I'm talking about a month or two down the road when you have been mowing it consistently. How long does it take, or how long do you figure it's going to take? Because you're going to have to guesstimate from the beginning. So typically you can get yards done in a half an hour. You can do 2 an hour if they're close by. One tragic mistake a lot of guys make is they compare it to a job. It's not a job, it's a business. At your job, you may have averaged $20 an hour, $25 an hour, but in your business, it doesn't work like that. You're not going to want to go out and mow a yard for an hour and get paid 25 bucks. Trust me, that's not good. Are you confused yet? It's really not that bad. And don't think because you might have a full-time job and this is your part-time gig, or your wife makes 6 figures and she's covering all your expenses in your household, that you don't have to charge accordingly for your business. If you want to build your business, if you want to maximize your profits, you need to get your hourly rate right. And that all starts with, you got to know your numbers. You got to know what's going out. If you don't mow 1 yard a month, how much do you have to pay? And remember, you have your monthly expenses broken down to the day. You're going to end up with it broken down to the hour and even down to the yard. But you have it broken down to the day. Remember, if you're 8 days a month, you divide that by 8. You divide your total monthly expenses by 8. Let's say you get a new backpack blower for 300 bucks. And you know that after 2 years, it ain't going to be worth a lick. So you buy it in year 1. You use it year 1, you use it year 2, you sell it at the end of year 2. You want to sell it for $150. That's half of what you paid for it, and that's a fair price. So it costs you $150 or 75 bucks per year for that blower. You can factor it in by the month for the blower because you're going to be using it monthly. You're going to be using it for spring cleanups, fall cleanups. So let's break down that 75 bucks by 12. That's roughly about $6. $6 per month. So you can also factor that into your month. Let's not get all Einstein with the math. You get my gist. Hopefully you're picking up what I'm putting down. These are your expenses, right down to your work boots or your socks. You're going to need uniforms throughout the year. So that all gets factored in. Business cards, all of your marketing, anything that you pay for online. If you want to get all fancy and pay yourself a salary or an hourly rate, that's a different topic. But if you're just basically chuck with the truck year one, I would say that you would want to make 40 to 50 bucks an hour, and that's a really solid rate to net. So you're going to want to charge 60, or in your case you might want to charge 70 or 75. I don't know what your expenses are. Remember, you have to do the math. You have to know your numbers. You have to know your gross revenue. You have to know your expenses in order to know what you're left with. And if you're not left with anything, then something's broken. You need to raise your prices, lower your overhead expenses, find some more efficient ways of mowing. You'll find over the course of mowing a yard that there's little tricks that'll save you a lot of time. Like, you don't need to weed eat the area right beside paved surfaces. Like, you don't need to weed eat the side of the driveway or the sidewalk. You can catch that with your lawnmower. Now, definitely edge it, but you don't want to hit it with a weeder. It's just going to end up looking like crap anyway. God forbid you or one of your guys hits one little bump and scalps a divot along that driveway. You're going to hear about it. You might even lose a client over it. You're going to learn your efficient trimmer routes, your efficient mowing routes, the quickest way to blow, how to effectively get your equipment on and off. But the real key is route density. If you can catch a neighbor while you're mowing one of your clients, or even two neighbors, that's gold, baby. That's what it's all about. Your goal should be spending your entire workday in one or two neighborhoods. Guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. Maybe I'll do a whiteboard presentation and just use my numbers as an example so you can really grasp it. But I hope this helps somebody. Maybe rewind it, watch it again. If you enjoyed it, like, share, and subscribe as usual. And remember to watch all of those bloopers and outtakes at the end. Some are funny, some are hilarious. Okay guys, I went ahead and made an example in Notebook because dry erase boards are kind of messy. So we got Joe Blow and his cousin Chuck in the truck. Two very similar guys, but two different sets of numbers, two different sets of expenses. So we have Joe is going to take my advice and go with $60 an hour target. He averages $40 per yard average. He's ambitious. He's going to mow 12 yards a day at $40 an hour. That yields him $480 a day gross. Times 8 days is $3,840 a month. Now here's his expenses. Tax, $760. Insurance, because it's only him, and liability, $50. Credit card processing, $115. Website, $25. Gas, $130. Miscellaneous, $200. And that can be all kinds of stuff, man. Uniforms, repairs, whatever. All right, so what we have is his expenses is $1,280 is his expenses. So we have our $3,840 gross for the month minus his expenses. That yields us $2,560 net. You take your $2,560 net divided by your gross, and that is your profit margin is 66% net profit margin, which is absolutely sick. That is some really good numbers. Now, what that ends up giving him is $40 an hour net. How did we get that? Well, we got that by that $2,560, which is our net, divided by 64 hours, which is 8 days times 8 hours. $60 per hour, averaging $40 an hour. His net just happens to be $40 an hour. And we got that right down here. That divided by that equals that. Now, old Chuck over here has a different story. He's trying to go high because he doesn't want to step out of his truck for less than $50 per yard average. So he's going to shoot for $75 an hour. He thinks he's got his math right. So he has 12 yards times $50 an hour average. That's $600 a day gross. Times 8 is $4,800 per month. But here's his expenses. His tax, $900. His insurance, $50. His credit card processing, now this is 3% times the gross. Same thing as the tax, I'm going 20% times gross. Roughly, this is ballpark. You got your mower that he's financing, or mowers, at $400 a month. His truck is $500 a month. Gas $200, miscellaneous $200. His expenses are $2,400. Now $2,400 is half of $4,800, as you can see. So you really don't need the math to tell you 50%, but there's the math right there. All you're doing is you're taking your net and dividing it by your gross. Gives you 50%. 50%. Now, this is a very realistic figure, 50% for a solo operator. That is that's really good, and you can manage that up to a certain point, up around $100,000 maybe. It's not exactly easy to generate $100,000 solo, but that's about the point where it starts to break down. He's getting $37.50 an hour, even though he's charging more. That's that $2,400 divided by that 64. So he's getting $37.50 per hour. Now you can see what a difference expenses make. Having that truck payment, having that mower payment to your expenses. Almost double. Old Joe Blow had his truck already paid for and his mower already paid for. He's probably riding around in his old beater pickup with his John Deere riding lawnmower that he bought at Lowe's. But you know what? Brother's making $40 an hour net. Now, I don't know about you, but $40 an hour is nothing to sneeze at, and neither is $37.50. But remember, guys, this is based on working 2 days a week. Your numbers are going to improve if you work 4 days a week, obviously, because you're generating more revenue with the same expenses. So your expenses pale in comparison because you're generating more revenue. So it's even more important for part-timers to take it really easy on the expenses. This is why guys starting out should not be buying all kinds of fancy equipment. You gotta crawl before you walk. You gotta walk before you run. I hope that this helped to clear things up a bit. My next video that I do, I'll break down the formula for pricing a yard based on that hourly rate, and that is really key. And I think you guys are going to enjoy that. Look forward to talking to you guys next time. Remember to stay tuned for the bloopers and the outtakes. Hey guys, you happen to be looking at the future of Yard Envy of Virginia. On the left, you have Mason, and on the right, you have Noah. They still have a few years to go, but they're going to be the first two to get in the field, and then we got 2 more sons after them. So you'll be seeing more of them down the road. I'm dividing that monthly figure by 16. 16 days a month. No, that's wrong. I'm talking about a 28-day. I'm talking about a 28-day business cycle in which there are 13 of in a month. That guy didn't win. In case y'all didn't get the email. By the way, I'm a political moderate. I'm not a Republican, nor am I a Democrat. That's my wife's cup, but I like to drink coffee. That was just an example of factoring in your equipment costs. Let's say you get a new, you have to know your expenses. You have to cover, you have to know your numbers. One tragic mistake a lot of guys make is they compare it to a job. It's not a job, it's a business. At your job, you may have averaged $20 an hour, $25 an hour. That's a nice salary. It doesn't work like that. You're not going to go out and mow your... Basically, what it all comes down to is no two businesses are the same. Just like no two people are the same, no two yards are the same, no two businesses are the same. No two overheads are the shit.